The other category of statement is loop. Loops are statements that repeat an action over and over. Let's start with the for loop. So the for loop is designed for stepping through the items in a sequence object and running a block of code for each. For illustration purpose, let's for example compute a function f of x is equal to x squared plus 2. So let's try to compute this f of x function with the value of x given. So we are going to define a list called y is equal to f of x, and the value of x will be stored in a list also called x. So we are going to have two lists, a first list with the values of x and a second list that is going to store the different values or result of the computation of f of x. Let's go back in our hello world project. We erase this. So we define a list. We define a list x is equal to, you remember, square bracket, and I can put some values inside, maybe 2 3 4, I don't know, anything. I have defined a list. Let's define now the list where the different values of y will be stored. So we say y lower y is equal to an empty list. This is how we declare an empty list. Now I want to take each number here, I compute x squared plus 2, and I append in this list. So one way of doing this is to take 2, square it, plus 1, and I append. Then I take 4, I square it, plus 2, and I append. So you see that doing it for all the list will be boring. Imagine the case where we have a list with thousands or millions of elements. It will be very impossible to take each item and perform the same computation. So that's why for loop is very powerful. So this is how we use a for loop to solve this problem. It's just like the if statement. So I say for anything, I can say item in x. So for anything, for something in x, x is the list where I want to take the different item. I put 2 points, then I press enter, and you remember the 4 indentation for statements is there. I say item, or I define another variable that I can call as I want, maybe f is equal to the item multiply or square, so its power. I press start twice, 2 plus 2. So that is it. It means that for each item in this my list, if we take that item, square it, and add 2, it's exactly our function of f of x is equal to x squared plus 2. And after, when he has computed the value of f, it must take the y list and, you remember, append the value of f. So at the end, I press enter, and I go back to say that my loop is finished. So I'm no more in my loop because you see there is no more indent. So these are only the 2 lines that are in my loop. After, I want my program to print the new value of the list y, which is the result of f of x. So let's run the code and see the result. You see here I have 6. In fact 6 is 2 square, which is 4, plus 2, it is 6. Now 4 square, it is 16, plus 2, it is 18. So you see that with only 1, 2, 3 lines of code, I've computed this very quickly and in a simple way. And if I increase again numbers here, with this number that I've added, if I run again, you see for all the list, it has computed the different value of x squared plus 2. So even if I have 1,000 of elements in this list, with just these 3 lines of code, I can do the job. You understand why the for loop is very important when we want to repeat the same block of code on different items. Now imagine a situation where I have some negative values in my list. So let's add some negative values. I'm just adding like that for illustration. And we don't want again this x squared plus 2, but we want to have in the y values only the positive values which are in this list. When we are doing this will be, as I said, to come here and look this 4 positive, 9 is positive, and we append. But it will be boring when we have many elements in the list. So we can use a for loop again to solve this problem, but the for loop is not enough because there is a condition. We want to select number, but numbers which are positive. So that is the application of the if statement. So I can come here and I say for item in x, if the item that is selected is greater than 0, so to y I must append that value. So I must append the item and I can print y again. So my code is saying that okay, you come in this x list, you take the first value which is -2. Now you test whether it is positive or not. If it is positive, you append. It means that if it is not positive, you will not append. So this is the way that we are going to select only the positive values in this list. So let's print and see the output. So you see it has printed the y which is having only the positive values. It's the same if we say give us only the negative values. So if we print again, we have only the negative values. So for loop is very important when you want to do the same block of code on different elements in a sequence.